Hi, I'm Marvin Musick with MedicareSchool.com.
And I'm Josh Musick. This is my dad. Together we started this company, MedicareSchool.com, about 15 years ago, and every month our team helps 1,500 people go on Medicare. Today's video, we're going to be answering the internet's most Googled questions about Medicare.
Is Medicare free? It's interesting we have this question because the phone call I took right before coming into the studio today is that's exactly what this guy thought. It was going to be free. And Medicare is not free. Now there is one thing that's free, and that's Medicare Part A. But that's the only thing that's free. Then beyond that, people have Medicare Part B. Right now that's $164.90 a month. And then people who get a supplemental plan have to pay a premium for that. That varies depending upon what they get. And then we have a premium for the drug plan. So Medicare is not going to be free.
Advantage plans are the only thing that people call free, but you still have to pay your Part B premium. So
exactly right. So unless you're on Medicaid, you are going to pay something for your Medicare.
Is Medicare and Medicaid the same? The answer to that is no. Medicare is the federal health insurance benefit. Medicaid is the state. It's often for more lower income folks, and together they can work together, but they are definitely not the same. Is Medicare tax deductible? Generally speaking, it's not tax deductible. Now, if you have a lot of bills and you itemize your tax deductions, there may be some ways to make some of it tax deductible, but generally speaking, Medicare is not tax deductible.
So is Medicare Part C free? Well, to be on a C plan, which are called Advantage plans, you do have to be enrolled in Medicare A and B. So for most people, A is free, but B has a premium. And so when people enroll into a C plan, that private health insurance company usually does not charge a premium. And so it could be free other than having to pay the Medicare portion.
And just so we're clear, C plans are Advantage plans. Next question, is Medicare primary or secondary?
Well, that just depends on someone's work situation. So if they're still working and they're in an employer plan that has 19 or less, then Medicare is primary and the group plan would be second. But if the group plan has 20 employees or more, then Medicare is going to be in the second position and the group plan is going to be first. Now, if someone's retired and not working, then Medicare is always in the first payer position, and then any other plan they have after that would be second. How Medicare works with other insurance? Well, it just depends on if you're working or not. But if you're still working and you are at an employer-provided plan that has 19 employees or less, then Medicare is going to be the first payer and your group plan pays second. But if there's 20 employees or more, then what will happen is your group plan pays first and then Medicare pays second.
Now, if you're retired, and you're on Medicare, generally Medicare is going to take the primary position, and then you may have like a supplemental plan to fill in the gaps, or maybe you replace all of it with a Medicare Advantage plan, and you actually put that Medicare red, white, and blue card in the drawer, and now you're just covered by the Medicare Advantage plan. How do Medicare Advantage plans work? That's a huge question. But generally speaking, Medicare Advantage plans have no premium, meaning you pay your Medicare Part B premium and then there's nothing additional that you have. So when you have a Medicare Advantage plan, generally you're going to pay copays. So you go see your doctor, it's $5 or $10. If you see a specialist, it's $30, $40, or $50 a visit. Let's say you have an MRI, it's $200 or $300. You have an outpatient surgery, it's probably $300 or $400. You spend a weekend in the hospital, you're probably going to come out with $1,000, $1,500, $1,800 bill. So you're going to pay copays for everything that you do, but you're not going to pay a monthly premium. And then they set a maximum out of pocket that you eventually over the year that you'll have to hit. So Advantage plans can be really good for people because there's low or no monthly premium, but you do have to be aware there's going to be some out-of-pocket expenses that you're going to have to pay.
Yeah, and generally speaking, if people were to go through a serious illness, they will spend more on their Advantage plan than they would if they had a supplemental plan.
But if you're healthy, then it's a good deal.
It is. How Medicare Part D works. Whenever a person has a self-administered prescription, that is covered by a Part D plan. So meds that people take professionally, those are actually covered by Medicare or an Advantage plan. So these Part D plans are for self-administered meds. And so the way it works is when someone goes on Medicare, they're going to select a plan that's going to be covering their medications. And so we always look at the formulary to make sure those meds are covered. And so most people have a deductible they have to meet, and then they also have copays they have to meet as well. Now what makes Part D plans confusing is that we have different copays throughout the year because all Medicare Part D plans have 4 stages.
Yeah. So the important thing to remember, like, you want to choose a plan that has all your meds covered under the formulary. And then the other thing is, like, drug plans used to be really difficult for us. When we started helping people in 10, 15 years ago, we used to have like paper formularies where we look up everyone's drug and then figure out which plan is best. Now, if you work with like an independent broker like us, it's just easy. We put in all your medications, we put in your pharmacy, and then it just kind of spits out, oh, here's the best plan for you.
All right, how Medicare Part B works. Well, Part B is the outpatient side of Medicare. Medicare has two parts, A and B. A is inpatient, B is outpatient. Also, Part B covers all doctor services, whether in or outpatient, covers durable medical equipment, as well as home health care. And so the way Part B works is it's going to cover services, but there's always a deductible that a person would be responsible for. This year, that's $226. And after that deductible is met, then Medicare pays 80% of the services covered by B, and then you'd be responsible for 20%. And that's why most people get a supplemental plan.
Yeah, it's important to know that 20% on the Medicare Part B is unlimited. The sky's the limit. You had $1 million worth of bills, you're on the hook for $200,000, right? So most plans that people are used to have a maximum out of pocket. So the most you're going to spend is $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 on a yearly basis. But Medicare Part B, in and of itself, sky's the limit. And the other thing that you have to be responsible for is anytime a doctor charges an excess charge, that could be an additional 15% on top of the bill. So you're almost like you're responsible for up to 35% of a bill with no maximum out of pocket, which is why people get supplement plans. How is Medicare tax calculated? And to be honest, I have no idea. So
Okay, yeah, well, let me explain because I do. Here's the way it works. If you're working for someone, every dollar that you make, 1.45% of that is coming out of your paycheck and is going into Medicare. Your employer matches that. And the Medicare tax is unlimited. Unlike Social Security, they have a ceiling, but not Medicare tax. And then, if you're a single person that you make over $200,000 or a married couple that makes over $250,000, you pay an additional 0.9% of everything above those limits. And so all of us pay at least 1.45%. Those that are self-employed pay the full amount, and those that are high income even pay more.
How Medicare supplement plans work. Medicare supplement plans are actually pretty easy to understand. So you have Part A and Part B. There are a bunch of financial gaps, meaning things that Medicare, original Medicare, does not pay. So the supplement plan comes in and it supplements, it fills in the gaps. The most popular plan right now is a Plan G, followed closely by a Plan N. But on a Plan G, what that means is you are responsible for two things. You have to pay your monthly premium for the Plan G, right. And secondly, you have to pay the annual Medicare Part B deductible, which is $226. So you pay that, and then after that, it's 100% coverage for anything that happens medically, that's medically necessary, that's Medicare approved. The Plan N, a little different.
Okay. Plan N, you'd be responsible for not only the B deductible, but you'd also be responsible for excess charges if you went to a doctor that added the 15%. In addition to that, when you see a doctor, you have to pay a copay of $20, emergency room $50. So premiums are going to be a little bit lower in the N plan, but you're taking on a little bit more financial responsibility. And remember, folks, Medicare doesn't pay for anything 100% other than preventive, and that's why people get supplemental plans, to fill in those gaps. Why Medicare Advantage plans are bad. First off, all Medicare Advantage plans are not bad, but there are some bad things that can happen to people when they get on an Advantage plan, and that's what you have to be aware of. Number one, all Medicare Advantage plans have pre-authorizations. In fact, 70% of the time, any service you want has to be pre-approved by the insurance company. So your doctor doesn't have the final say-so, the insurance company does. That's problematic. The second issue would be all the network issues, because on all Advantage plans, you're on an HMO or a PPO, and your doctor may not be in the network or could be and then comes out of the network. So that can be problematic. And then also, if you get on an Advantage plan and you stay on that plan a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and want to get off, you have to medically qualify to get a supplemental plan. And if your health is bad, you'll never be able to do that.
So what happens with a lot of people is they get an Advantage plan because they're heavily pushed on TV, right? And they're free. And they've got some extra benefits like dental and vision and hearing and fitness memberships. Right. And they love it while they're healthy. And then something changes in their health and all of a sudden they're hitting their max out of pocket of $6,000, $7,000 back to back every year. And they're like, oh, I need to get off and get onto the supplemental plan because it's going to be better coverage, more comprehensive, less out of pocket. And by then it's too late. It's kind of like waiting to get homeowners insurance until the bathroom's on fire. It's just not going to work out for you. Next one, why Medicare doesn't cover dental. They just don't.
Yeah, well, it's actually an exclusion law.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, years ago when Medicare started, they legislatively decided they were not going to cover dental unless it's major. The only thing they're going to cover is they'll do some preventive before a kidney transplant. They'll cover before some surgeries. They'll do some preventive just make sure people are healthy enough to be able to go through that surgery. If someone has jaw cancer, they'll pay for reconstruction of the teeth. So it's always major. So they just have decided years ago they're not going to cover dental. And so people are on their own when it comes to preventive and extractions and fillings and root canals and all those kinds of things. So that's why most people get insurance outside of Medicare to cover those items.
Why Medicare supplement plans are bad. He won't be able to speak about this because he's in love with supplement plans. I think maybe the reason supplement plans could be bad, number one, is if you can't afford it. So some people love the idea of a supplemental plan, but it makes them insurance poor. So that would be a reason to be bad. Another reason a Medicare supplement plan could be bad is maybe you went with a insurance carrier that was offering this really low teaser rate, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can save all this money compared to everyone else on the market. You went with that, and then 3, 4, 5 years later, that rate had gone up a lot. So it's really important. And what we try to help people in our brokerage firm is help them understand, like, it's not only the initial premium that matters, it's also the long-term rate stability of that plan that matters. Because you're going to be on that plan maybe 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, you can change off, but you generally in most states have to answer some health questions to be able to switch off.
Right. I would agree. Yeah, the only reason they're bad is if you cannot afford them. And if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't get it. You ought to go with the Advantage plan. But a little extra gets you wonderful, wonderful insurance.
Is MedicareSchool.com legit? I hope so. I think so. We've got about 100 people that work and every day come in to try to help people with Medicare all day long. So I think we're legit.
Yeah, I think people wonder just because we talk about our services being no cost to them, and so they're skeptical. And folks, really, that's the way all insurance works. The insurance company pays the agent; you don't have to. And so I think that's really where that question comes from.
We don't work for free, but we are free to you guys. Is MedicareSchool.com free? And I just kind of answered that. Yes, we are free to you. Like everybody else in the insurance industry, we are paid by the insurance companies that we place business with. So you call us, we go over a bunch of different options. I think we represent like 30 or 35 carriers, and just set everything side by side so you can decide which plan is best for you. When we do that, when we help you enroll, we get paid by the insurance company, not by you.
So where's MedicareSchool.com located? Well, first off, we are a national company. We write business in all 50 states, but our home office is actually in Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. And we do have some remote people as well, but most of our staff is right here in the Kansas City area.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the difference between us and a lot of other people is we don't do outbound phone calls from offshore call centers just trying to harass you and trying to say, hey, do you have Medicare? Do you want a Medicare plan? It's not at all how we've ever done business. Everybody calls us if they want our assistance. We don't have to do that sort of outbound research, and we're definitely not shipping anything over to the other side of the world where they don't even understand Medicare, but they're still trying to sell you a plan.
Exactly right.
So these are the internet's most Googled Medicare questions. If you have any questions, drop them below, and maybe we'll shoot them in the next video.